It is another fantastic football Friday, so that means it's time for Varsity Sports Live. Jason Andera, Jody Norstead will join us in just a few moments from West Fargo, but just another jam-packed evening. Awesome results, awesome games, few surprises as always, but a lot of things became clear this evening.
Yes, I think that's the theme, is we saw a lot of delineation. We saw teams playing that were ranked against each other. We saw teams like West Central maybe separate themselves in what's been a really cloudy 11A. We saw in North Dakota, a AA team actually starting out the night at number one and probably finishing the night at number one.
Probably.
So, we found some stuff out tonight for sure.
Well, let's get a quick look at our scoreboard with what you just alluded to. For the first time in 3 weeks, number one in AA does not go down. Fargo Davies 34-7 over Minot. So as you mentioned, Jamie, Fargo Davies should retain that number one ranking next week. The game you saw here on Midco Sports, bit of a slobber knocker, 14-7. Shanley holds on over Bismarck Century. They lost to Bismarck Century 49-7 last season, so a bit of revenge for the Deacons in this one. Mandan, their second straight shutout, 34-0. Those two straight shutouts come after falling when they were ranked number one. West Fargo, 31-14 over Bismarck. That ends a three-game losing streak for the Packers. Bismarck Legacy, 4 in a row for them and 6 in a row over Williston, 35-13 your final in Bismarck. West Fargo Cheyenne over Red Forks Red River in a AA versus A matchup, 34-0, 3 in a row now for the Mustangs. Fargo North and Fargo South. North led this at halftime, late touchdown from Fargo South. Last year it was 28-3 North. South gets some revenge, 17-14. This time around, the big news up north, Jamestown, number one in 11A. They go down to Wahpeton, 14-13. They led this game at halftime. They had a chance at the end. The Huskies pick it off in the end zone late to preserve the 1-point victory. Highliners from Valley City, no problem with Horace, 56-0 there, 5-0. Dickinson, 11-8. It's like a baseball score. Walk-off three-run homer in the bottom of the ninth. First meeting between Dickinson and Devils Lake since 2013. And it is Dickinson getting the victory over the Firebirds. Top 5 battle in 11B, no problem for Kindred, 42-7. That's now 16 straight wins dating back to last season for the Vikings. Velva led 22-0 at halftime, scored the same 22 in the second half, 44-0, 6-0, but Velva's first shutout of the season. Dickinson Trinity, 47-35 in a shootout. They had lost 5 in a row versus Bowman County, but a shootout win again for the Titans. Bottineau, 40-14 over Rugby. They had lost 3 straight against the Panthers. Central Cass, the Squirrels take care of LintonHMB 43-12. Fourth straight game with at least 35 points for the Squirrels. Mr. Neiman's favorite team, the Tommies, 27-18 over Langdon area Edmore Munich. More scores from North Dakota. Good battle between LitchfieldMarion and MayportCG. First points given up all season by the Lobos. They trailed at halftime, 18-14, but they come away with a victory, 30-26. And Windmere, I apologize, I said Windmere last week, Windmere Lidgerwood, 30-19 over Hankinson. They have now won 5 in a row after losing their opener. North Prairie moves to 6-0 with a 36-0 victory over Nelson County. St. John, the Woodchucks, 4 in a row for them as they beat Surrey 58-16. They've won 4 in a row and averaging 61 points per game during their winning streak are the Woodchucks from St. John. On to South Dakota scores. And Sioux Falls Jefferson once again showing why they're the number one team. This is a AAA versus AA matchup, 49-7. 3 more passing touchdowns for Talon Ashley. The game you were at, O'Gorman against Lincoln. O'Gorman thought they were in control, but they could just never quite put away the Patriots until the end, 35-28.
Went from a 3-score game to a 2-score game to a 1-score game, back to a 2, back to a 3, back to a 2. I mean, it was a crazy game, that's for sure.
We'll see highlights of that one coming up. Harrisburg, no issue with Sioux Falls Roosevelt, 35-0 the final at Howard Wood Field. Brandon Valley, bit of a tough time with Rapid City Stevens, but the Lynx prevail 33-20. They've now won 3 straight. Pierre, 47-13 over Watertown. Arrows actually led this game 6-0 after the first quarter. Bit of a slow start for the Governors. The Lincoln Keenholz, 4 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns for the number one team in AA. T in Yankton was a great game. Titans pull away late, 38-28.
Yeah, tied up 28-28. Yankton actually had the lead early in this one. They showed that they can hang with T area. That's going to be interesting to check those highlights out. We were there on site getting you some pictures, so we'll let you check out what we saw.
Some moving pictures at that. Brookings 40-6 over Douglas, no problem with the Patriots. Aberdeen Central 24-7 over Huron. They're a little frisky, Aberdeen Central.
Yeah, this is a team that, they lost to Pierre early on, and people kind of forgot about them after losing a couple early. Well, this part of their schedule has really been more favorable, and this is a team to watch in the second half of the season.
Here's a score for you. St. Thomas More in 11B tops the number 5 team in 11AA 20-10.
Yeah, St. Thomas More with injury problems the last couple of weeks put it together and got a win against a ranked 11AA team. Good for them. We'll have highlights of that too.
West Central, no problem with Canton 34-12. Trojans are now 5-0, as are the Dell Rapids Couriers 37-6 over Milbank. Shootout for Beersford, 54-35. Beersford had scored 27 points combined in their last 3 weeks. They double that tonight.
Yeah, Lennox really put up a fight though. This one was close all the way throughout, and right at the end, Beersford made it look a little more of a blowout than it actually was.
Taking a look at some 9-man scores from South Dakota. Wall 48-6 over Lyman. Lyman scored the first 6. Wall with 48 unanswered. A battle of number 3s in different classes of 9-man. It's Hamlin over Castlewood 61-20.
This one started out really close, and then Hamlin really put the pedal to the metal, and Luke Frazier had a huge night for Hamlin, and he's one of the top rushers in all of 9-man football. And tonight, 61 points on the board for the Chargers.
Harriet Selby 46-6 over Sully Buttes. They are 5-0, and they have won each of their games by at least 2 touchdowns. Well, obviously the big news, Jamestown going down in North Dakota, but in South Dakota, that St. Thomas More game, 11B over 11AA, that's not something you see. It doesn't really matter the rankings. It's not something you see all that often.
Yeah, and Sturgis had won a couple games to start the season out. It looked like maybe they were going to be a good 11AA team. Now 2 weeks in a row, a tough loss to Huron and then losing to St. Thomas More. They're going to have to put it back together if they want to make a run in 11AA.
But let's get right to the highlights in South Dakota. We start with AAA against AA, number 1 Sioux Falls Jefferson at Mitchell. These highlights shot, by the way, by proud Sioux Falls Jefferson parent Ryan Powell. And this one was all Cavs. First quarter, Gabo Johanna up the middle, barely touched on his way to the end zone, 7-0.
No Nelson Wright again this week. He took the week off, but they didn't need him because they got this guy, Griffin Wilde.
He splits the defense, turns on the afterburners, 14-0. Speaking of afterburners, how about Evan Haug, another explosive play, 21-0 at that point. We're still in the first quarter. It's Wilde again, this time toeing the sideline, stretching for the pylon. Yes, he is in. 28-0 Sioux Falls Jefferson at that point. 49-0 at halftime. They take care of business, 49-7 over Mitchell. Big battle next week for the Cavs.
That's the one they're looking forward to, and that's the one that O'Gorman is looking forward to.
Well, speaking of the Knights from O'Gorman, why don't we check them out? Facing Lincoln, number 4 Lincoln, at McEnany Field in Sioux Falls. Late in the first, Maverick Jones.
Kind of a boring first quarter until late in the first, Maverick Jones goes crazy, a 74-yard touchdown run. He had almost 200 yards rushing in the first half. He was crazy. And then the next drive, O'Gorman came right back down, and it was Ryland Satter, familiar with him. And then it took a while for Lincoln to go. In the second half, they got the running game going because they had some injuries. So a big touchdown by Hodge puts them within 1 score.
That's 14-7 at that point. Then Dannenbrink,
oh boy,
like a slammer to a pog in 1995 with a flip. Look at that
top
flip.
10, SC top 10. Look at this thing. He was fine too. He's like, yeah, I'm good.
He may not stick the landing, but he's all right. He's not known for his gymnastics. He's known for his quarterbacking. 27-10, or 21-7, excuse me. Ryland Satter, second touchdown, 28-7. You think they're in cruise control, but
I overheard the Patriots on the sideline. Hey, let's just play for pride. Let's just come back. And they put a nice drive together, capped off by Tate Schaefer, got the onside kick right after that, and then went right to Jack Smith. Put up 2 touchdowns in a blink of an eye, and they're right back in this.
It's 28-21, but Mr. Jones, Maverick Jones, seals the deal, ties a school record, 268 yards on the ground.
Yeah, this guy, and he gave all the credit to his offensive line, and as well he should have. He had one heck of a night, and he was the difference in this game. The Patriots started running the ball better in the second half, but the Knights had the ground game in this game and got the win, 35-28. There was a touchdown right at the end of the game, which made it look a little closer than it actually was. But Lincoln didn't give up on this one. Another note on this game, Gabe Gutierrez, Lincoln's best linebacker, got ejected in the first quarter for a hit to the helmet. and they still persevered. They also lost Dawson Syme to injury. They lost Isaac Jarofsky to injury. So the Patriots really beat up in this one.
O'Gorman, Jefferson next week, and guess what? We're going to have it here on Midco. We weren't originally, but who says Sunday Night Football is the only place where you can flex games? We flexed O'Gorman and Jefferson. It'll be live next week here on Midco Sports. Number 3, Harrisburg against Sioux Falls Roosevelt. Homecoming at Howard Wood Field, but it was the Tigers who felt at home from the get-go. High snap to Dylan Elrod. Max Carlson nearly fumbles it, then Caden Mason gives him a little carry over the plane. 4-yard score, 7-0 Harrisburg. And then after a Tiger interception, Elrod keeps it himself 14-0 midway through the first.
How about Max Carlson, by the way? The most versatile player in 11 AAA, that's for sure.
Well, speaking of versatile Max Carlson, here he is on the punt return. Rough Riders could not really get anything going offensively, but Carlson, 31 yards deep into the Roosevelt red zone. And then on the very next play, how bright a star is Titan Tryon, Mr. Andera? So bright that the cameraman, me, come on, lower the exposure. That's on me. But you still saw the toe drag swag.
He doesn't care. It's just the rest of the people in the business that'll make fun of you on that day.
Including myself. Early fall evenings at Howard Wood, the sun just messes with you. 21-0 at that point, 35-0 your final. Again, doesn't matter what the records are, but for the Tigers, this is exactly what you want to see, a solid win against the team they were supposed to defeat.
And 4 wins in a row, getting off the mat after getting down early and losing to Jefferson in the opener. They really have looked like one of the top teams in 11 AAA since then. They are firing on all cylinders, even without Gavin Ross.
And they gave up 43 points to Sioux Falls Jefferson in week 1. They've only given up 36 combined in the 4 games since then. More AAA action, Rapid City Stevens and Brandon Valley out in Brandon.
Homecoming,
a lot of places, including Brandon. First quarter, Lucas Slack, Nate Andreessen, nice pitch and catch. Brandon up 7-0.
Okay, this is 2 weeks in a row. Andreessen has really started to catch fire. Had a 200-yard week last week and then gets a couple touchdowns here.
Jed Jensen can throw a nice ball. Kale Meisman scores the touchdown. Missed the extra point, though, so it's still 7-6 Brandon Valley.
You weren't the only person who had exposure problems, Dave.
Exactly. The sun just messes with you, I'm telling you. Slack, Andreessen, gone.
Yeah, this is a guy, Andreessen came into the game with 5 touchdowns on the season, adds a couple more. He's a real threat. He and Dylan Langrock, they've got some weapons on the outside now.
Jensen, he likes to take some deep shots, but this one, unfortunately for him, is intercepted by Tristan Busby. Look at that.
Tristan Bisbee, the only returning starter on defense, comes up with a huge pick.
Lynx were up 17-6 at the break in the second half.
Delvon Spears-Whitty showing what he can do on the ground, and they missed him. A couple games he hasn't played this year, they have missed him when he is not in the lineup. Huge run for him.
Then Jed Jensen, little too much time, he's in the end zone. That's a safety from Nate Vandenberg.
Yeah, this guy, he has been a difference maker at defensive end, one of the top pass rushers in this state.
How about Dylan Langrock, another touchdown throw from Slack.
Yep, but Stevens, give him credit. They didn't go away in this one.
They didn't. They were down 33-14, or 33-6, excuse me. Jed Jensen runs in for the touchdown. That made it 33-14. Another touchdown to Meisman up top, 33-20. And then they're trying for the onside kick to get back in it. And as we've seen, onside kicks, they work in the NFL, not so successful at the high school level, but nevertheless, 3 in a row now for Brandon Valley, 33-20 over Rapid City Stevens.
Yeah, it was fun to watch the Lynx kind of come back, and they've got a huge test next week against Pierre, but they were just happy to get one. And here's Nate Vandenberg after the win for the Lynx.
Really good. We got a winning record now. Defense is really clicking. Offense is clicking too. We love to see it, but a good team win today. Super fun. D linemen dream of sacks, but never a deep safety. I mean, that's just so fun. It's things you dream of.
I don't think anyone's going to confuse this Brandon Valley team with the teams of the past couple seasons, but they've showed that they can have an aerial attack when they need to and a defense that can get after the quarterback.
Lucas Slack is throwing a really good ball. Andreessen has come on really strong the last 2 weeks, and you saw Nate Vandenberg. He's a real weapon getting into the backfield, and defensively they're improving each and every week. So as their offensive line comes along, as Delvon Spears-Whitty comes along, Brandon's going to be back in the conversation, as they always are when we get into October and November.
Brandon Valley and Harrisburg, you kind of forget just because of the early season struggles,
right.
but they've both been impressive recently.
Put them in the mix. You bet.
Put them in the mix. Let's go to 11 AA. Probably the game of the night in AA. T against Yankton, 2 versus 3. Maddox Slykehouse. He runs for the touchdown, 7-0 Titans. But then coming right back, Yankton. Rugby Riken to Matthew Sheldon. That's a nice catch deep into Titan territory. That would set up this touchdown run from Shaler Platt.
Yeah, this is a guy that gave him a physical presence at running back. We all know that Rugby Riken can make plays, but it was nice to see something from Platt.
Another touchdown there. Austin Goebel. Extra point good. 14-7 Yankton. This was a back and forth affair. Here's Blake Thompson with a touchdown run in the third quarter. That makes it 28-21 T. And then Yankton. Riken going up top. Evan Sirk. Nice pitch and catch down the left sideline.
Yeah, they've got athletes on this Yankton team, and don't sleep on them. They make the big plays. Huge in the passing game tonight as they passed for 332 yards.
And that was technically a pitch to Blake Thompson. That touchdown gave T the lead for good. 28-28 at that point. That touchdown made it 35-28. They had a late field goal to win by 10. But this was a close game. Don't let the 10-point disparity fool you. I think it said a lot about T to be able to get this road victory. And Yankton, I used that word frisky a little bit earlier for Aberdeen Central, but in this case for Yankton, they can also be frisky.
That's a good measuring stick for the Yankton Bucks, having to come off of a peer game and then play against T. And I mean, it was 28-28 until late in that game. They threw for 332, and T ran for 430 yards. I mean, they were 1 for 1 passing, the Titans. And
passing attempt.
And they still got it done. So this is a team, hey, who cares about balance, right? Just get it done.
38-28. T is 5-0 on the season. St. Thomas More hosting Sturgis. 11 AA at 11B. Defensive battle from the start. Owen Cass to Reese Jacobs for the nice game, but the Scoopers had to settle for 3. So it's 3-0 Sturgis late in the second quarter. St. Thomas More finally puts a drive together. John Paul Sullivan finds Easton Ogle. Big gain into the Scooper red zone.
Ogle has been so important to this team as they've had other guys go down with injuries. He's one star that they've been able to count on.
That set up this Matthew Larson touchdown run. Cavs up 7-3 at halftime. Third quarter, the Scoopers strike back. Cass buying some time. He'll eventually find a Gavin Leitenberg for 30 yards on this pitch and catch. And that would set up another touchdown, this time for Sturgis. Check out this throw coming up here from Owen Cass. Then check out the catch by Tyan Boos.
Oh, this guy, he's having a phenomenal junior year. And we saw him live on Midco Sports to start this season out, and he's just continued to have a big year. So look for Tyan Boos to continue to be one of the top receivers in 11 AA. But in the end, it was St. Thomas More who got it done, and they're doing it with a freshman quarterback over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that touchdown made it 10-7 Sturgis, but then St. Thomas More, they scored the final 13 to take this one 20-10, and 11B tops 11 AA.
Yes, and St. Thomas More, a big matchup next week with Ron Colley, a battle of 2 really good teams in 11B.
More highlights, Canton and West Central, top 5 showdown in 11A. Senior night out at West Central in Hartford. This night would belong, however, to Justin Zerpel. 35 yards to Owen Heath, 7-0 Trojans.
Yeah, Owen Heath is a beast, by the way. I mean, he's just a big tight end who gives you a huge target. And Zerpel, you know, he's going to throw for 100 and run for 100 almost every week.
Zerpel to Heath again, 13-0 after the extra point is no good. Hey, guess what? Once is nice, twice is nice. How about 3 times?
Ooh,
a gentleman, not 3 times the lady, 3 times a gentleman to Heath. 20-0 West Central. You know what? Why not go for 4?
Oh boy, we're into game ball territory, David.
But who? For Zerpel or for Heath? That's what you got to decide. You don't give game balls, do you?
No, I don't. And it's really tough. I do lose sleep.
We had a big debate in the office about your one last week, and you're probably going to have similar discussions this week. Canton a late TD, Braden Qualseth. 27-6 at that point, but Canton just too far behind at that point, 34-12. So 4 touchdown passes from Justin Zerpel to Owen Heath for the number 1 Trojans.
I don't know if anybody's have a tougher schedule than Canton has so far this year. I feel like their defense has really led them so far this year, but they could not stop Owen Heath on this night. And that's just dejecting for a team that really builds their reputation on defense. So West Central with a huge win for them.
And a big matchup with Madison next week for Canton. Madison, a similar team that's had some tough opponents early on, so that'll be a good measuring stick for both sides next week between the Bulldogs and the Seahawks. So West Central moves to 5-0. Could Dell Rapids do the same? They were hosting Milbank on homecoming. A lot of homecomings around here at the beginning of fall. This one was all Dell Rapids. Mason Stubbe, 20-yard run. And that's going to set up a touchdown run for Mr. Stubbe to make it 7-0 Warriors.
Stubbe's been so huge for this team to really solidify their running attack, and we've seen it over the last couple of weeks especially. His power has gotten really, really good.
Oh, look at that rainbow. Nice shot by Max Jensen there, getting the rainbow here. It was dreary early in the day, sunny late, sunny opportunity here for Chase Jones.
Yeah, this is an opportunistic defense that Dell Rapids has, and they took advantage. They have looked like a really good team. We haven't given them enough airtime this year, but they're a really good team.
How about the guy who picks off the pass and then scores the touchdown on the ensuing drive?
Well, it's his night.
14-0 Warriors at that point. They're leading 21-0. There's 8 seconds left before halftime. Milbank punts. There's no time remaining. Mason Stubbe's got to stay up. Guess what?
He does.
He does.
Mason Stubbe, this guy's having one of the biggest breakout years of anybody in 11A, and the Dell Rapids Warriors and West Central Trojans undefeated at this point in the season. They don't actually play each other in the regular season, which you don't always see. Usually they play each other every year, but they don't this season.
But they're probably on a collision course at some point in the playoffs, no matter what happens the rest of the regular season. Still a lot to be determined. We're halfway through.
A lot of teams in 11A would like to argue with that.
That's true. But again, Mason Stubbe, that 64-yard punt return with no time remaining at the end of the first half. 37-6, Warriors over the Bulldogs. Beersford and Lennox. Look at the fly over there over at Lennox. Beersford, they're going to take an early lead here. Peyton Fidrich.
There you go. I mean, this guy, he is tough to bring down. You see, he did cross the goal line before he lost the ball, and the running game would be a signature for the Watchdogs tonight.
7-6 Beersford at that point. Braden Wolf hits Porter Enan eventually.
Look at this move. He has been a touchdown machine this year, and they did their best to double team him, and he still got free for a couple scores.
So we've only shown you 2 scores. It was 28-28 at halftime. Watchdogs come out in the second half with an 8-minute drive. Jack Steenan scores to make it 35-28. And then back come the Orioles. Wolf to Enan once again. Great extension. We are tied at 35 apiece, but it would be all Beersford after that. Jackson Tadlock.
They got a lineman that they brought in to run the, I don't know, what do you call that, the gorilla package?
It's an old refrigerator Perry line.
Yeah, that's what it is. And they just hammered the ball home, and that's how they ended up winning this game, was on the ground. Tate Van Otterloo finishes it off with a beautiful 20-yard touchdown here.
Nice scramble, towing the sideline, 47-35 at that point. It would be a 54-35 final. I mentioned earlier, past 3 weeks, Watchdogs had scored just 27 points combined. The offense showed out this evening.
This Beersford team is going to put an interesting matchup next week against Dell Rapids. I think that's going to be one of the best ones to watch next week. And next week is filled with great games, by the way.
2 versus 3 in 11A. Certainly want to watch the Watchdogs and the Warriors. How about some 9-man action? Lyman against Wall. Tegan Gorno follows his line, and Lyman will get on the board first. PAT no good, 6-0, but it would be all Wall after that. Cedar Amiot avoiding tacklers, running 13 yards for the score. 7-6 Eagles.
I'm a believer in the Wall Eagles. This is one of the toughest games they're going to have the rest of the season, because Lyman's they're a good squad. They've got a lot of really good players, and they still made it look easy with a huge second half.
Rylan McDonald. He'll follow his blockers, find the edge, 58 yards on the punt return touchdown. And it's not just special teams. McDonald, an excellent receiver. He's going to get a receiving touchdown here. He's going to make some defenders miss. Nice moves. Look at that.
I mean, week in, week out, you see McDonald put up huge numbers. Bert Glazius as well at quarterback, having a phenomenal year, and they stay undefeated. I think Lyman still deserves to be ranked in 9A, but a tough night for them.
9AA Wall over 9A Lyman, 48-6 is your final. Sully Buttes and Harriet Selby.
On paper, it looks good.
Exactly. On fourth down, Brendan Begeman breaks it outside. He's gone down the right sideline. 51 yards, 2-pointers good. 8-0 Wolverines. And then later on after that, Trey Heddick goes to Begeman through the air this time. He hauls it in for the 32-yard touchdown reception. 16-0 at that point. And Harriet Selby, they're undefeated this season. They've won all their games by at least 16 points. Wide open Trevor Gill, 72-yard pitch and catch. 24-0 Harriet Selby at this point. Sully Buttes, they'll get their lone touchdown here on 4th and goal from the 6-yard line. Lucas Arcorin in the corner of the end zone. 24-6 Harriet Selby at the half, and they would go on to win this one 46-6. We saw Hitchcock-Tulare, the number 2 team in 9B last week, show out. Harriet Selby, the number 1 team in 9B, and once again, they're taking care of business.
Yeah, and Sully Buttes, they can only play who's in front of them. They went 5-0 against a subpar schedule, but now the rest of their schedule this season gets really tough. Still a team that's getting better week by week, but Harriet Selby in a different zip code right now in 9B. I think it's a collision course between Hitchcock-Tulare and Harriet Selby in 9B.
And then we're seeing in other classes teams start to separate themselves, and maybe some other teams in that 3 to 5 range start to look like maybe they can contend for those top 2 spots late in the season.
I really think 11 AAA is going to be a lot of fun, and 11A is going to be a lot of fun with those 3 through 5 teams right now.
Absolutely. Fun night here in the South Dakota. When we come back, we'll get a look at a fun night in North Dakota. Jody Norstead joins us when we come back.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University.
And welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. David Brown, Jason Daryl. Let's head on up to West Fargo and join Encyclopedia Jotanica. Jody Norstead here. Well, we finally ended the curse of all the number 1s in AA losing, but we still had a number 1 lose in North Dakota tonight.
Yeah, how about that? Hey, props to this lid. I got this one from the Wahpeton Huskies. I think it was maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago.
Good timing.
And the Huskies pull off an absolute stunner over Jamestown tonight. And the number 2 team in 11A went down. South was able to beat North, so it was a little bit bonkers tonight in 11A.
Absolutely, and your game here on Midco between Shanley and Bismarck Century was close throughout, and Shanley just kind of put it away at the end with some runs.
Yeah, a little bit of a grinder. Their first win against Century since 1997. Guys, it was a fun night in the North Dakota landscape of high school football. We have tons of highlights to show you, so without any further ado, let's go to that televised game of the night. Century taking on Shanley. A lot has been made about Century's struggles this season. 0-4 for the first time since 1983. They could put that conversation to bed with a win tonight, but Adam Leininger had a different change of plans. A touchdown run here from Leininger in the first quarter, and here comes Shanley. Rain falling, Century pounds right back with its ground game, and they probably had one of their better games rushing the ball tonight. Peyton Arndt with a nice run on a 3rd and long to get the first down. Then he gets to the edge and gets the touchdown, makes it 7-7. Shanley answers back with a drive here in the second quarter. Adam Leininger was running wild tonight, and they were looking for their ground game. And then on a 4th and long, look at this. Connor Kraft, the basketball player, jump ball, and he comes down with it. Tie goes to the offense, and on a 4th and long, they get a huge touchdown, up 14-7 at the half, and there was no scoring in the second half. A couple of huge runs, though, down the stretch by Michael Rosberg when they were facing 4th and 1. 2 times they ran the quarterback in Rosberg. He picked up a bunch of big first downs late. Century just not able to capitalize. Too many drops down the stretch in the passing game, and Shanley comes away with a big win. Rosberg afterward talked about those key runs in the second half.
Yeah, for sure. No, it feels great. I mean, a win's a win, and the boys fought hard, and we got it done, and I'm just so excited to have a W. And Lyman had good pushes there to get me that first down, and it was a great play.
A good cross-state matchup as Minot made the 270-mile trek to Davies. Eagles, the new number 1 team in the state, would they lose? Well, let's find out. Davies going to the air here. Mason Claybo to Ray Brown. That makes it 13-0 in the second. or in the third quarter. It was 6-0 at the half. Later in the third, Elijah Hayes looking like Larry Zonka here, running over people 19 yards. Davies up 20-zip. Claybo again, he's going to be looking for his man, Ray Brown. I think that guy's wearing a Ray Brown jersey if I have that correctly. Number 3, Brown, what can he do for you? Big gain for 45 yards. That sets up this. Hayes running through into the goal line, getting pushed in by the rest of the Eagles. But Minot, here they come. Not going away quietly. Jaden Sparrow going to get the passing game clicking here. Going to look for Logan Conklin over the middle. Takes it all the way to the house. But when it rains, it pours, and Davies was pouring all over the Magi tonight. Minot coming off that big win over Century. They won against Mandan the week before, taking down a number 1 team. But Claybo to Brown. That's going to set up another touchdown run. Brown is number 6. Sorry about that. And Lorenz is able to capitalize with the touchdown run. Makes it 34-7. Davies goes on to win this. Let's take a look at that scoreboard for the Eagles, who now move to 4-1 on the season. Number 1 will stay number 1. Yes, finally. But they're going to get a Fargo South team coming off a massive win tonight. We'll show you those highlights in a bit. Minot gets Cheyenne next week. Mandan in its second-ranked scoring offense hosting St. Mary's. Braves thought they would be without All-State running back Lincoln Wiseman for a little bit with that arm injury, but he was back tonight. First quarter, though, they go to the air. Max Carlson to try Frank makes it 7-0. Second quarter, the give to Wiseman. He's playing with a splint on his left wrist, fights and dives his way in, 14-0 Mandan at the half. Third quarter, Saints struggling to get anything going on offense. Defense too good. Look at the pressure by Brendan Huss. 14-0 after 3. Mandan gets a drive going in the fourth here. Carlson gonna call his own shot here. Taking it off, gets a stiff arm. 21-point lead for the Braves. Mandan wins big tonight, 34-0. So 2 convincing wins for the Braves after being knocked off as number 1 against Minot a couple weeks ago. They get Bismarck next week. Biggest game in 11A, undefeated in second-ranked North, traveling to fourth-ranked South. Last year, the Spartans snapped a 9-game losing streak to their bitter rivals. Mid of the first, Peter Haugo, or actually, I think this is later in the game. South gets a big stop here. And then the Bruins on offense. Going to the air. Boom. Nice catch here by number 10. Don't have his name here. But the Bruins in business, trying to make something go. It was 14-0, 14-3 after 1 quarter of play in favor of North. But then Demarion Semenko, this is late in the game, scores in the fourth quarter. They were trailing 14-10 at half. This touchdown in the fourth quarter, though, by Semenko makes it 17-14. And how about them Bruins coming up with a big win? Landon Dockin doing his thing, a kicker that recently just committed to the University of North Dakota, so congrats to him. But he made a field goal in this one that ends up being the difference in this one. It pays to have a good kicker. 17-14 Bruins. How about that for a stunner? 4/2 in the state in 11A. How about this for a stunner? The defending state champs from Jamestown and Wahpeton tonight. Peyton Hochhalter looking for Jackson Walters. That makes it 13-0. They didn't get the extra point. That's late in the second quarter. Then even later in the second quarter, Bo Arnstein, 22 yards of the end zone, and Caden Kappas, my preseason player of the year in this division, makes it 13-6. They didn't get the conversion either. Now let's go to 20 seconds left in the third. Arnstein is going to be on the keeper here from 8 yards out. Full head of steam, gets into the end zone. Now they're down 13-12 late in the third, but they're going to go for 2. A 2-point conversion would give them the lead. Gutsy play call instead of going for the tie. Arnstein to Kappas. Oh, he's sure hands, baby. 14-13, the Huskies go in front. Wahpeton then late. Jamestown with a chance to win it. First and goal from the 11. 15 seconds left, but it is intercepted by the Huskies. What a play to finish it. Wahpeton with a little bit of a walk-off winner. They did have to take a kneel at the end of it, but how about that for a stunner? 14-13, the Huskies knock off the defending state champs from Jamestown, putting them at 4-1 on the season. Well, one big matchup to another, a couple of 5-0s. This is one of them. 5th-ranked Oaks taking on number 1 Kindred, the defending 11B champs. Vikings opening drive, Charlie Beaver takes the direct snap. Dragon defenders along the way, gets into the end zone, makes it 7-0. Vikings aren't done yet. Next drive, Kylan Swenson gets the rock. And watch Kylan push his way into the end zone. second rushing touchdown of the night. Here come the Tornadoes. Xavier Vossler going to get the ball, and it's a lot of gritty 1-yard plunges. The best highlights that money can buy. 14-7 at that point. Kindred ends up dominating this one, though. They win 42-7 and remain unbeaten at 6-0. Tough loss for the Tornadoes, but I'm sure they'll bounce back. A good one against Ellendale Edgeley Cullum next week. Unbeaten Velvet Drake Animus Garrison ranked 3rd in the latest poll. Hosting Kenmare, Hawkers trying to pull another upset like they did week 1 against Bowman County. Aggies held scoreless in the second. Kenmare QB Jack Zimmer. Aaron snap, Tyler Holman scoops it up, runs it back for a big man touchdown. Velva up 8-6. Hawkers get the ball back again. Zimmer back to pass, but Peyton Bodine. Oh, I'll take that. Nice play on the interception. Ben Shepton from the shotgun. Boy, he has all day to find his classmate Reggie Bruner. Reggie, where are you at, my boy? Back of the end zone, sounds good. Almost runs into the field goal post. That would have hurt. Velva leads 22-zip now. Ball back in Shep's hands. He's feeling comfortable in the pocket until sophomore lineman Peyton Hellwig brings a little hell. It's a shutout win for the Aggies, though, tonight on homecoming night. They are royalty with a 44-0 victory. Bottineau has been one of the best stories in the state, posting a 5-0 mark in their return to 11-man. 4th-ranked Braves playing a rivalry game tonight with Rugby. Braves 7-34 all-time in the series, though. Homecoming night also in Rugby. Ryder Pullman throws it to Jacob Shriver. Sets up a goal line sweep for Shriver again as he cuts it back in. And Bottineau takes his 6-0 lead. Braves get the ball back. Pullman going to hand off to Shriver again. Look at the dead leg move in the backfield. I don't think he was touched until he crosses the pylon here. Zach Keller says, let's go for 2. Pullman back to pass, aiming for Carson Hare here. It's going to be tipped, but Eli Bristol keeps his feet in. Bottineau up 14-zip. Sun going down. Second quarter, Braves on 3rd down. Pullman fakes the handoff. He's going to buy a little bit of extra time. Dylan Barsh, the linebacker, breaks it up for Rugby, but Bottineau converts on 4th down here with a guy named Shriver. Why not hand it off to him every play? He finishes the night with 3 touchdowns. As he slides across the goal line, Bottineau rolls to the 40-14 win and remains perfect. Pullman, of course, won the game ball a couple weeks ago with a 300-yard, 5-touchdown performance against Harvey Wells County. They get Hillsborough Central Valley next week. 2nd-ranked Trinity on the road to take on the always physical Bowman County. Beaten to their own drum. Bulldogs coming off that 21-14 loss to Shiloh. Trinity on the opening drive uses nearly 9 full minutes before Jace Kovash scoots around and just gets enough to get over the end line. Titans up 7-0 early. Bowman County responds. Bishop Duffield going to push his way across the goal line. Makes it 7 apiece. 3 drives later, here comes Kovash, who won the opening week game ball as he had a big night for Trinity. Handing off to Ty Dassinger, who also won a game ball, or was a top performer rather, had a game ball worthy performance. Titans go up 14-7, then Trinity on the defensive side getting it done. Had an interception, then 1 play later, Kovash fakes the handoff, hits Dassinger, streaking across the middle, clear sailing. Trinity wins it 47-35, so a little bit of a shootout. Bowman County's a pretty darn good 3-3 team. They're at Hart River next week. Dickinson Trinity gets Hazen next week. Central Cass has been playing outstanding the last 2 weeks. Dominant wins over Lisbon and Sargent County. Squirrels hoping to go nuts tonight against LintonHMB. Braden Mitchell back to pass. He finds Peyton Lamar, and Lamar is Lamarvelous on this touchdown play. Gets into the end zone. Central Cass up 6-0. Then Trace King for LintonHMB to Carter Pfeiffer. Just inside the pylon, tied at 6. Squirrels have the answer in the second quarter. Owen Wiersma, boy, has he been good this year. Puts Central Cass up 13-7. Fans that made the hike over to Linton, happy about that. And then it's Braden Mitchell airing it out for Ashton Kopeski. And boy, if I'm butchering that, Ashton, I apologize. Central Cass goes up 20-7 after that one. And then how about some defense for the Squirrels? King looking to the flats, but that is intercepted by Chase Bachmeyer. Big turnover. And then Central Cass taking advantage. Braden Mitchell, this time to Cooper Johnson. Johnson was a top performer last week. Had a 54-yard touchdown catch and 2 picks last week. Mossed a guy on defense in that win over Sargent County. He gets a touchdown again tonight, and Central Cass wins big 43-12. That sets up an interesting showdown with Kindred. Undefeated Kindred, number 1 Kindred, Red versus blue, that'll be a fun rivalry matchup next week when Central Cass and Kindred go head-to-head. 9-man fans have been waiting for this one. Defending state champ LitchfieldMarion averaging 54 points a game. They haven't been scored on yet, facing their toughest challenge in MayportCG. Things get started quick, less than 2 minutes in. Anthony Hansen to Gunnar Thielge, the freshman, with the touchdown. MayportCG responds, though, with a long touchdown of its own. Landon Koenig finds Skylar Carlson. Look at this play. Nice catch, nice touchdown. The first touchdown scored against the Lobos this season. 8-6 still LitchfieldMarion after the failed conversion. Lemoore trying to respond. Jacob Hutter, though, picks off the pass. Nice play right as LitchfieldMarion was in the red zone. Very next play, it is a 95-yard run by Carlson. Look at the spin in the hole, evading some tacklers, and Carlson off to the races. Not many people can outrun a bunch of Lobos, a pack of Lobos, but this Patriot can. 12-8 Patriots after another failed attempt. So yes, MayportCG has number one on the ropes. Right before the quarter ends, the Lobos strike again. Hansen is going to find Thielges again. That freshman, boy, does he have a bright future. He camps out underneath, and I'm just going to keep forcing my way into the end zone. Lemoore up 14-12 after one. Once again, though, the Patriots, these two just exchanging blows for blows. What an awesome game. Skylar Carlson again with a big play, this time just a modest 20-yard run. And 18-14, the Patriots lead it going into half. The Lobos come out with the win, however, after a touchdown with under 2 minutes left. The final 30-26. So they squeak by. They get Hankinson next week, but a couple of close games. Congratulations to LitchfieldMarion getting the victory tonight. And how about those Wahpeton Huskies? I bet they're celebrating a lot down there. Homecoming night. Big celebration for them. Shanley gets the big win tonight over Century and keeps rolling with that top tier in 11AA. We have zone coverage coming up next here on Varsity Sports Live. Stick around. We'll take a look around at what's going on in North and South Dakota.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Back to VSL, David Brown, Jason Andera, rejoined again by Jody Norstead here for some zone coverage a little bit. Now, Jody, we're zoomed in a little bit, but earlier in the segment, did you not pay attention to the Varsity Sports Live commercials you filmed? You had your water bottle on the desk. You literally circled that with Jason Andera as tape to learn from.
Yeah, did you notice that I put it down though now?
Well, yeah, we're zoomed in on you. Let's take a wide shot a little bit and see if you still have it.
Take the wide shot.
Okay, now it's
there's
gone.
There's the proof. Yep.
Okay, well.
A little bit of leakage of the laptop, but I needed it tonight, boys. I needed the water. It was crazy. I don't think they needed the water on the field because we had some raindrops out there. But tell you what a night in North Dakota high school football. And Shanley, obviously, in our televised game, got the big win over Century. And they did enough. I mean, they only scored 14 points, but Troy Madden's been kind of waiting for his defense to come out and really strengthen a little bit and improve over the last couple of years, especially once they joined this top tier of high school football. They knew their defense would need to get better, and now making huge strides. They hold Century tonight to 7 points. Obviously, Century shot themselves in the foot a few times, too, with some really significant drops, but Troy Madden isn't going to make any excuses. His team got a 14-7 win tonight, and the W is really all that matters.
Like I told the kids, when you wake up tomorrow, there's nothing going to be in the paper about style points. What is going to be in the paper that you're 4-1? It doesn't matter how you win. Sometimes you just have to win ugly, and I think the conditions played more a part in the game than people think, and I couldn't be more proud of our kids, especially late. You know, we would have left them a short field, but our kids said, let's go for it. And we converted 2 big 4th downs to ice the game, and credit to our kids. They made plays and got away with the win.
So now there are 5 teams with just 1 loss in that top division 11AA. It's Legacy, Davies, Mandan, Shanley, and Cheyenne right now that are still with just 1 loss in that top division. So props to Shanley. Jackson DeVries was the guy who had the interception for Wahpeton, guys. I wanted to make sure I got that in. The game-clinching interception in that huge win over Jamestown 14-13. The St. John Woodchucks, I got their helmet. If you want to take a full again, I got their helmet this week. A shout out to St. John because they beat Surrey tonight 58-16. I'm going to start something new. I just thought about this earlier today. The team of the night, I'm going to put their helmet on. If we have their helmet up here, I'm going to put it on. And you know what? Those Wahpeton Huskies getting that win. Let's
it.
go. I'll end the segment like this, guys.
Come on,
There you
you're a
go.
former offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Oh man, it
People
still looks
don't
good on
realize that we get like the runt
the very generic helmet.
trophies that don't fit.
She's a
any
little
other-
tight. She's a little snug, and I don't want to take my IFB out in case you guys still talk to me, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, just so I don't completely make fun of you, I have my water bottle too, but it's under because it's so garishly green, and yeah, that would just look ugly on television. But I'm showing it to you anyway. So we all need water, but yeah, just I don't know if there's an under the desk thing, but put it there next time.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, David.
All right. Thanks, Jody.
We need
Jody
to chat with Jody more often.
Yes, we do.
This makes me smile.
Absolutely. Jody Norship makes everyone smile, especially the fans up in North Dakota. He provides
course.
just such excellent coverage up there. Well, you heard from the victorious Fargo Shanley team. We had some victorious teams here in South Dakota tonight, including O'Gorman, which sets up their big showdown next week with Jefferson. But man alive, Maverick Jones was awesome tonight.
They have had the best running attack in all of 11 AAA, and if you would have told me that at the beginning of the year, I might have argued with you because they don't have a big offensive line, but the offensive line got it done, and Ryland Satter had a big night as well, but Maverick Jones credited his offensive line tonight.
I mean, it was great. Like, we did really good up front. I gotta give credit to the line. It was great. No, they stepped up in the beginning, as we all talked about that they need to do, and it worked out well for us right away. We set it up. It was good. It was a close game. It was a good game. It was the best game we played yet. It was good competition, and it was fun to see what we can do.
Interesting, he says this is the best game they've played yet.
I was going to say this is the only game they haven't scored 40 points, but it was they were battle tested in this one.
It was battle tested, and they could never get far enough ahead because Lincoln continued to cut the lead down all night, but O'Gorman gets it done.
And Brandon Valley also got it done tonight over Rapid City Stevens, 33-20. Lynx have won 3 in a row after dropping their first 2. We heard from Matt Christensen afterwards.
But our boys rose up and got a lot of excellent blocking in, great tackling, better, improved communication, intelligent football in a lot of ways. Super proud of them. We played a lot of guys, and homecoming should be that way, where everybody contributes, and if anybody's gone for whatever reason, we'd miss them a ton. But we're lucky we got the roster we do.
And as we mentioned a little bit earlier, the Lynx have some great skill guys. I mean, Lucas Slack has done a really great job at quarterback, especially over the past few weeks. And if they can shore up just kind of those back ends of that defense, they can be a threat down the stretch.
And he mentioned it. There's a couple guys missing. If they can get everybody together on the field at the same time, this is going to be a dangerous team. But next week, huge test. One of the best teams in the state. Right there, the Pierre Governor's coming to town.
Yep, AAA versus AA will be Brandon Valley against Pierre next week. Well, the number 2 team in 11 AA will remain that way. T with a big road win over Yankton. It was a back and forth affair, tied late, but the Titans pulled away. We heard from Scott Fry afterwards.
I told the group before the game this is the challenge, and this group rises to challenges, and they have ever since they've been 3rd and 4th grade, and that's what this was just another challenge for them. And I knew that Yankton was going to put up points. They're very similar to O'Gorman, and we struggle with O'Gorman, so we know we're going to struggle with them. So I said that's the challenge, and we kind of stuck with our game plan, kind of like we did with O'Gorman. They had a tough time stopping our run, so we kept doing that, and things worked out in our favor.
I was going to say, stick to the game plan. One passing attempt kind of shows you what the game plan was from the get-go.
And he's right. They had a tough time stopping their run. Blake Thompson, once again, with a huge night. Chase Van Tol with an unbelievable night. Both guys going well over 150 yards on the ground. This is a team that really, really can mash people up front.
T over Yankton tonight, 38-28. Well, when we come back, we will wrap it all up here, give our final thoughts on North and South Dakota. You're watching Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports.
You're watching Varsity Sports Live, presented by South Dakota State University. Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live, presented by Avera Orthopedics.
Thanks for joining us again. Another great week of high school football here in North Dakota and South Dakota. But next week, these two, O'Gorman and Jefferson, number 1 and number 2 in AAA. And we're going to have it on Midco Sports. We flexed into it. 5 o'clock from Howard Wood Field next Friday, September 30th. It's going to be awesome.
That's going to be a great game. The high-powered offense, a really strong defense, and you could say the other way. The high-powered offense against a really strong defense. It's going to be a lot of fun.
We're also going to have highlights from Brandon Valley versus Pierre, Beersford Dell Rapids. That's going to be a fun game. We got lots of great stuff coming up next week. For Jody and Jandy, I'm Brownie. Thanks for watching.